Notification. Notificación, English Inglés. Author. David Montes Garcia. inamaria@gmail.com. With the sunset shining in his eyes, and few coins in his pocket, he discovered that he was far from home. The song of the birds, the whisper of the wind and the dance of the leaves of the trees contradicted his mental state. The peace of nature and the disaster of human society collided, sizzling in his mind. Her pants pocket vibrates and on the screen she reads. Royalty, prime ministers, presidents, senators, parliamentarians, governors, mayors and public representatives are disapproved of by citizens for benefiting from public resources through the contracts and laws they approve. He closed his eyes and felt the force of muscles, claws and fangs. The huge bristling mane, between gold and black, shook with a shrill roar, threatening and directed to the rest of the pack, which had captured the prey. He concentrated on satiating his hunger and keeping his companions away, who could only eat, together, a tenth of the prey. His pocket vibrated again, projecting systems for the election of officials and representatives, indubitt, to inconsistencies, errors and evidence of historical manipulation. He felt the embracing warmth, blanketing his velvety body. Fire arose too, from inside him. He rose panting from the remains of the dam, staring at a clump of bushes. Being in the shade, his attention was fixed on the rest of the group, who were looking at him defiantly, with no signs of overheating, still exposed to the sun. After 3 seconds, they took a step together towards the king, who was looking at them, in suspense. He jumped in terror, feeling an electronic chime. Again the screen. Citizen mobilizations, all over the world, demand justice, honesty and dignity from their governments, which declare a global health emergency. Reduce the rights of all and give order of confinement and general isolation. Partially recovered by adrenaline and the reduction in temperature, the dominant feline threatens each member. It roars, slaps and shows its fangs. Suddenly, he throws himself on the remains and drags them near a large pool of water. From there he watches the herd, he snorts and trots roaring around the puddle and debris. He only allows the strongest to approach. The remains are exhausted in a few hours. He projects his roar, preventing other prey and enemies from approaching. In addition, he periodically attacks his companions, causing the 2 weaker ones to die. When necessary, he bristles and threatens anyone who tries to leave the place. However, he disappears for a few minutes a day and comes back licking his lips, smelling of fresh or rotting meat. Deafening thunder alerts him, incoming call. The Bitcoin security system is inviolable, due to the encryption and the large number of independent verifications, which requires the approval of each transaction. The reliability of the information is guaranteed, verifiable by any entity, at any time. Out of the corner of his eye, he discovers that the lead lioness is missing. He makes a slow, panoramic exploration, searching the distance without finding it. Suddenly, she hears a loud roar behind him, in her blind spot. He is paralyzed for 5 seconds, while the rest of the pack direct their gaze to the source of the sound. He feels familiarity with the roar. It is her, she has returned. Upon seeing her, he notices that she brought a large prey and jumps over the body. He stands between the herd and the prey, but hunger drives them and they continue on their way. The lion threatens them with its claws and roars with force, millimeters from each one, but they do not stop, they ignore it, they respond with roars and lazy gestures. He jumps on the leading lioness, trying to bite her, but she fights back with agility. He pulls away from her, slowly becoming isolated. They allow him to eat, like another member, but they return the attacks, which he generates. After finishing the banquet and drinking water, the leaders lie down on the grass, keeping 5 meters apart between them. They lift their heads and see the rest of the pack approaching. Each individual, publicly and without manipulation, chooses the lioness as their leader. Despite the lion's fury and threats, in the middle of the daytime dream, the feline reviews his messages and finds. Virtual voting, approved by a citizen action mechanism with blockchain and video technology, via PC, tablet or smartphone, to approve the laws of 1. Transfer of the power of approval of all laws, decrees and public expenses to the voters by general popular vote. 2. Replacement of all representatives of the people, as well as senior and intermediate positions in all control agencies. 3. The public system of monthly supervision of the representatives of the people. It includes the monitoring of control institutions. At dusk, the lion stood up approaching the herd and roared softly, watching them with its illuminated globes. He walked, proud and confident, for 200 meters. He realized, then, his loneliness, and returned. Being 40 meters from the group, the leading lioness got up, followed by the group. They met the male's gaze as they followed the female toward another area of the territory. Alone, in the dark, listening to the hyenas, elephants, zebras and the wind, he chose to join the group. A slight electric current shook him, the fresh air enveloped him and his back finally stood up. While he voted for the approval of the 3 laws on his smartphone,